I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing about something like this, but honestly, I'm still trying to process it all. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 6 years now. When we first got together, everything seemed perfect. She was smart, funny, a little bitchy at times, but that was part of her charm. We had a pretty good life, or at least I thought we did. We weren't perfect, but I always believed we had something real. Lately, though, I started noticing small things that didn't sit right. She'd come home later than usual, say she was working late, but her stories didn't add up. Her phone seemed glued to her hand whenever she was alone, and she'd get defensive or snap at me if I asked questions. She started dressing differently, more revealing, more flirtatious. I'd catch her sneaking glances at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, and she'd quickly hide it or lock the screen. Honestly, I thought maybe I was just overthinking it at first. I mean, everyone has their insecurities, right? But as the days went on, the gut feeling that something was off just grew stronger. One night I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, trying to relax after a long week. That's when I noticed a message pop up on her phone, a text from some guy named Jake. Just a simple "can't wait to see you tonight." My stomach dropped. I froze. My heart started pounding like I'd run a marathon. I stared at that message for a good minute, trying to process what I was looking at. The way her phone buzzed every few minutes, she'd quickly pick it up, hide her face, and then go to the bathroom for ages. I knew she was hiding something, but I didn't want to believe it. No way she'd cheat on me, right? But then I remembered her behavior lately, the late nights, the secretive phone calls, and that little attitude she's been giving me when I asked about her day. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal swirling inside me. I had to know more. Without thinking, I grabbed her phone when she went to bed that night. I didn't want to be a creep, but I couldn't ignore the gut feeling anymore. I unlocked her phone, and there it was, more messages from Jake, pictures of her in bed with her phone, and even a few suggestive photos she never thought I'd see. My world was crashing down. That's when I realized this wasn't just a one-time thing. It was happening right under my nose, and I was blind to it all until I caught her red-handed. I sat there staring at her phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. All those little signs, the late nights, the hidden phone calls, they weren't just coincidences. She'd been lying to me this entire time. Lisa, my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, was screwing around with some guy named Jake. The thought of it made my blood boil, but at the same time I just felt numb. Like my entire world had been turned upside down in the span of a single night. I knew I had to confront her, but I wasn't ready. I needed to plan how I was going to do this. I couldn't just burst into the bedroom and accuse her without proof. That wouldn't be fair, and honestly, I didn't want to be that guy, the guy who loses his mind in a rage. So I decided to wait until morning, though every second felt like an eternity. I stayed up all night, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I'd seen, feeling every ounce of hurt and anger surge through me. I kept asking myself, why? How long has this been going on? Was I just blind or stupid for not seeing it sooner? In the morning, I woke up with a pounding headache. I was exhausted but knew I had to face her. Lisa was still sleeping when I got up, her face peaceful but innocent looking, which only made it worse. I sat there for a moment, trying to gather my thoughts. I didn't want to yell, but I also didn't want to be passive anymore. I needed answers. I quietly grabbed her phone from the nightstand, knowing it was risky, but I didn't care anymore. I had to see what she was hiding. I unlocked her phone again, this time with a different purpose: to confront her with what I knew and to hear her lie to my face. When she finally woke up, I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "We need to talk, and I mean really talk." Her eyes flickered with confusion at first, then something else, maybe guilt or defiance. I slid her phone across the bed and said, "I found these messages. Tell me what's going on, Lisa. Who the fuck is Jake, and why are you lying to me?" Her face went pale and she started to squirm. She tried to deny it at first, claiming it was all a mistake, that Jake was just a friend, that she was bored, that it meant nothing. But I could see right through her bullshit. There was a flicker of outrage in her eyes, like she was pissed I had the nerve to confront her. She told me she didn't mean for it to go this far, that she was just lonely, that Jake was better than me in bed, and that she thought I'd never find out. She spun stories about how she was just talking, how it was harmless, how she'd never actually slept with him. Of course, I knew better. I knew her too. Well, she's the kind of woman who'd lie until she thought she could get away with it, who'd twist everything around to make herself look innocent. I felt my hands trembling with rage, but I kept my voice calm, at least outwardly. Inside, I was burning. I'd been played, used, and I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or just walk out and never look back. The betrayal cut so deep, I could taste it. That confrontation didn't end with her just spinning some bullshit and expecting me to buy it. No, I was done being played for a fool. I looked her dead in the eyes, feeling my jaw tighten, and I told her in a cold, steady voice, "You think it's harmless? You're lying to my face, Lisa. You're out here fucking around with Jake and you expect me to pretend I don't see the truth. You're a fucking liar and a cheat. I don't even recognize the woman I married anymore." Her eyes welled up with tears, but I was beyond caring about her tears. Honestly, I felt a strange mix of rage and heartbreak, like I'd been hit by a freight train and left on the side of the road bleeding. The thing that hurt the most wasn't just the fact that she cheated, it was the way she lied about it. That bitchy attitude, the way she would deny everything, then turn around and accuse me of not satisfying her. She kept telling me it was just sex, just a mistake, that she loved me but was weak. Yeah, right. That's what every cheater says, isn't it? I was angry at her for treating me like a damn fool, for thinking I'd never find out. And I was angry at myself for not seeing it sooner, for being blind to her manipulations. I was supposed to be the good guy, the loyal one, and she was out there making a fool of me. I told her I needed some time to think, that I wasn't going to make any decisions right away. I needed to process what I'd just learned, process the fact that the woman I loved had been lying and sneaking around behind my back. She begged, of course. Said she'd stop, that she loved me, that she'd do anything to fix this. But I knew better, I knew. Once trust is shattered, it's almost impossible to put back together. I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, and saw her for what she really was. A liar, a manipulator, a woman who had no respect for our marriage. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her lies, the way she looked at Jake in those pictures. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like I'd been stupid for so long. The anger simmered just beneath the surface, but I knew I had to stay calm if I was going to do something about it. I decided I wasn't going to let her drag me down into her bullshit. I had to think about what I really wanted, whether I could forgive her or if I needed to cut my losses and walk away. I kept asking myself, did she love me or just love the idea of having someone else? Could I ever trust her again? Or was this the end of us? The questions haunted me, and I knew I'd have to make some hard choices soon. The days that followed were a roller coaster of emotions. Every time I saw her, I felt this mixture of anger, sadness, and disgust. She tried to act normal, acting like everything was fine, but I could see her cracking under the pressure. She'd beg me to forgive her, say she made a huge mistake, that she was sorry, that she loved me and only me. But I wasn't buying it anymore. Sorry doesn't fix betrayal. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that she'd been lying to my face for God knows how long. I spent hours thinking about what to do. Part of me wanted to explode, to throw her out right then and there. But another part knew I needed to be smart about this. I was angry, yes, but I also knew I needed to plan. I wanted to teach her a lesson she wouldn't forget. She thought she could cheat and get away with it, but I was about to show her she messed with the wrong guy. I decided I was going to give her a chance to come clean, but on my terms. I set the ground rules. She had to tell me everything, no more lies, no more hiding. And if she wanted to save us, she'd have to prove she was serious. One day, I told her I needed to see her phone again. She hesitated, but eventually handed it over with trembling hands. I went through her messages, her photos, everything. And I found even more proof of her affair. Pictures of her and Jake in bed, messages of them planning meetups, and even some explicit stuff she sent him late at night. I felt my stomach turn, but I kept my composure. I wanted her to see that I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. I told her I was done, that I was going to do something she'd never expect. Later that evening, I set up a camera in our living room, one that recorded everything. I wanted her to admit everything on tape, to see how it felt to be caught. I told her I'd give her a chance to come clean, but she had to do it willingly. She looked at me with a mixture of defiance and fear, trying to deny everything again. But I kept the camera rolling, waiting for her to slip up. When she finally saw the camera, her face paled and she started to stammer. That's when I finally got her to admit that she'd been seeing Jake behind my back, that she'd been cheating on me for months. Watching her break down on camera, realizing she'd been exposed, was a small victory. Not enough to fix what's broken, but enough to make me feel like I was finally in control again. After she finally confessed on camera, I felt this strange mix of relief and utter devastation. Relief because I finally had something concrete, proof I could show her, and devastation because I had lost what I thought was forever. All those years, all those plans we made, shattered in an instant. I sat there, staring at her as she cried and begged, and I realized something. I wasn't going to stay just to be a fool. I had to decide what I wanted, how I was going to handle this, and what the future looked like for me. I told her she needed to leave. I didn't want her in my house anymore, not while she was still trying to manipulate her way out of this. She argued, of course, saying she'd do anything to fix this, that she loved me, that she'd stop seeing Jake. But I knew better. Love doesn't survive betrayal like this. Love isn't about lying, sneaking around, and pretending everything's fine. I told her she could go stay with her sister, and I needed some time to think about whether I even wanted her back. Honestly, part of me wanted to just cut ties, erase her from my life, and move on. In the days that followed, I started packing her things. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, seeing her belongings, knowing she'd betrayed me in the worst way possible. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry at myself for ever trusting her. I kept replaying the moments when she'd lie to my face, the times I saw her sneaking around, and the way she'd dismiss my feelings like I was just some inconvenience. It made me realize that I'd been putting up with her bitchy attitude, her lies, her manipulation, all because I loved her. But love doesn't mean being a fool. I also reached out to a lawyer to understand what my options were legally. I didn't want to ruin her life, but I needed to protect myself. My assets, my sanity, and my dignity. I knew that once I filed for separation, the whole process would get messy, and I'd have to be prepared for whatever came next. But honestly, I was ready. I didn't want her in my house, in my life anymore. I just wanted to get through this, learn from it, and come out on the other side. I kept telling myself that I'd be okay, that I'd survive this, even if right now it felt like my world was crumbling around me. The aftermath was worse than I expected. Once I officially filed for divorce, Lisa's true colors came out even more. She threw accusations, played the victim, and tried to manipulate the situation to make herself look innocent. But I had the proof, the recordings, the messages, everything documented. I didn't need to defend myself. I just stayed firm. The process dragged on for months, each day a reminder of how badly I'd been betrayed, but I refused to let it break me. In the end, I realized I'd learned a lot from all of this. Trust, once shattered, is nearly impossible to rebuild. But more importantly, I learned that I should ignore those gut feelings, those signs when something feels off. Ignoring my instincts only made me more vulnerable. I also discovered that I'm stronger than I thought, capable of surviving even the worst betrayals. Yeah, it hurts like hell, and I still get angry sometimes, but I know I'll move on. Now I'm focusing on myself. I've started therapy to deal with the emotional fallout and to rebuild my confidence. I've also started dating again, cautiously, but with a new sense of awareness. I won't settle for someone who doesn't respect me or who thinks they can get away with lying and cheating. My trust is going to be earned from now on, not given blindly. Looking back, I wish I could say I learned to love myself more, but honestly, I just learned that I'm capable of walking away from someone I thought I couldn't live without. That realization has been the most freeing thing of all. I hope my story can serve as a warning. If you feel something's off in your relationship, don't ignore those feelings. Trust your instincts and don't be afraid to confront the truth. Because sometimes the truth hurts, but it's better than living a lie.